two types of transits that are important to know about. One is very personal. It happens to you based on your own chart. So that means like Saturn that's transiting hits in your natal moon. Now the second type of transit is universal. It's an age-based transit, which means everybody gets it around the same age. So a really good example of this, I'm sure you've heard of, is the Saturn return. Now Uranus also has age-based transits. There's an 84-year cycle that Uranus takes to travel around your entire birth chart. And it makes three really significant hard aspects. The first square, the opposition, and the second square. And they mark significant times in our lives where something disruptive or surprising or liberating happens. The major aspect that we're talking about in this video today is the Uranian hard aspect of the square. It can bring friction and challenges. And hard doesn't mean bad. Hard is different than bad. When we have difficult or extreme experiences, they can lead to some more authentic fulfillment in our life, but they're still going to be hard. There's going to be something about it that's going to be difficult. Whatever houses are activated by the squares, it's going to be a part of this personal revolutionary experience. And in those places, you're going to feel that change coming on as it's coming into the square. And you're going to be feeling restless, possibly a little dissatisfied, or see some disconnection between you and your actual life. During these major Uranian transits, people in your life may think you're acting erratic or doing things to mess up the status quo, the way things should be or whatever. And maybe they think you're being hasty or disruptive. And we all get two squares. So the first one comes between age 20 and 22. Everybody gets it. And the second one comes between age 63 and 65. When you're having the Uranus square, the key is to pay attention to what makes you feel a little bit angry or irritated, because those are clues to what you may need to move on from. And conversely, what you could be moving towards. That's kind of another thing. So this might be unexpected and catch you by surprise, but it's like the friction of polishing a stone, that it reveals some deep individual truth that's locked behind the layers of some rough texture. A practice that I like and I recommend you to do is to think back, if you've already had one of these age-based transits, to what happened during your life at that period. And when I was writing this, I was thinking back to my first Uranus square. Of course, I didn't know what it was at the time. I had no idea about astrology when I was 20 years old like this. And I was in college. I was already 3 years into a committed relationship. We had a lot of responsibility. We were going 18 units of school full-time, working. I think we had 3 jobs, each of us. We were living in a house that we had to pay a mortgage on. We were just doing a lot to make ends meet. And we were not living carefree 20-something lives. We were already pretty tied down. Suddenly, in my memory at least, it felt sudden. It came out of nowhere in my mind. I had decided I needed to go to Paris, France, by myself. We had bills to pay. We just bought a new mattress. We needed to pay that off. But I had this money that I'd kept to the side. It's my high school graduation money. It was like $400. And I bought a ticket to Paris in the spring of 1999. And my partner was upset. I knew he would be. And looking back, I really don't blame him at all for that response. It was really uncharacteristic of me to do something like that. But I just couldn't stop myself. I had to go to Paris. I remember getting there and thinking, what the hell did I do? I made some rules for myself. I decided I would not go out after dark. So I didn't go out by myself after dark. It's just during the day. But I remember getting onto the train from the airport to get to where my hotel was. And it's underground for the first part. And then you come out into the light. And it was just pretty epic because, this is pretty, touristy. But somebody got on the train with an accordion and started playing La Vie en Rose. I mean, it was just about as picture perfect as possible. So the accordion's playing the song, and you pull out of that dark train tunnel, and you're in Paris. And there's the Eiffel Tower, and it's like, oh my God, I'm in Paris. 20 years old, and I'm doing something for the first time in my life by myself. The whole thing about that trip, I have a lot of really good memories about it. Yeah. I have not opened this book in ages. It's a relic of the past. And this is my trip. Statues. When you look back at pictures, who really cares? Chandelier. Why did I need a picture of that? just the man, the jeans I was wearing. Jeez. Found my uncle, my French uncle. Oh my gosh. This is what I mean when I tell you the selfies. Oh my gosh. This is so bad. I'm embarrassed. Who needs the bottom half of the face anyway? Irrelevant. It was hard to take a selfie in the old days. Why did I think this was something I needed? A photograph of. That's so... Can't judge myself that harshly, but I think I was feeling very, very artistic. Very Parisian artistic, like death and life and time is... It's cold. It was so cold there. The fact that we did have such limited film, the choices that I make, like, what's this all about? I think that was supposed to be Marie Antoinette. She had to be in the prison, and so they put some wax dolls there. Yeah, this was the view outside my room. That was pretty epic. The hotel was called Hotel Pacific, and I thought, gosh, you guys, we're nowhere near the Pacific, but okay. That's what you want to name your hotel. It wasn't because this was some, amazing Paris time. It was great. Paris is amazing. But it wasn't that. It wasn't Paris. It was the fact that I listened to myself. I let myself do something unexpected. And I followed my heart. I went to Paris. Were there consequences? Yes. Yes, there were consequences. There was a price I had to pay. But in the end, it really was worth it. And after that transit passed, I know this now in retrospect, but at the time I didn't know. I would look back even not long afterwards and go, how did I do that? Was I insane? Was I crazy? Did it even happen? If I didn't have my picture book, I would maybe not even think it happened. But it did. The early 20s in a life is a marker of change. It's when people are differentiating themselves or separating from caretakers, becoming adults, going into the real world for the first time. Being able to do those anticipated things, like gambling or drinking. It's just so exciting when you're under 21 and then you finally aren't, and it's so much fun. Feeling grown up. And it's a defining time for independence because it ushers you into your adult life with sometimes rapid shifts, massive transformation during around that time. Separation. The second Uranus square bookends the first, and it's another type of separation. It appears around ages 62 to 65, and it's a period when people are often in a transition point of their lives. Their children have most likely grown up. Maybe the work is shifting in some way. It used to be retirement age around, but almost retirement age. But nowadays it's a lot more challenging to retire at that age. But it's another unexpected shift, an urge to break free from maybe the work that you've put your life into. And that could be a time to pursue some passions that you didn't have the opportunity to do before. Like maybe you've been in a domestic state and you want to work, or maybe you've been in working your whole life and you want to do something else. It's a time to separate what matters from what doesn't matter anymore. That made me think of this international organization. It's called the Red Hat Society. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I remember I've seen groups of these women. You have to be over 50 years old to join it, but I'm guessing the average age is more like second Uranus square age, maybe around 62. The Red Hat Society is this worldwide membership that encourages women to get the most out of their lives, supporting women in the pursuit of fun, friendship, fitness, and the fulfillment of lifelong dreams. It's a lot of F's. And not to be, crass or anything, but these ladies don't really seem to give any F's. In a good way, though. In a good way. It's what Uranus requires. It's like, F it, I don't care. Do whatever I want to do. I'm going to wear a red hat and purple dress. The Red Hat organization was inspired by this poem written by a British poet named Jenny Joseph in 1961. When I'm an old woman, I shall wear purple with a red hat that doesn't go and doesn't suit me. And I shall spend my pension on brandy and summer gloves and satin sandals and say we've no money for butter. I shall sit down on the pavement when I'm tired and gobble up samples in shops and press alarm bells and run my stick along the public railings and make up for the sobriety of my youth. I shall go out in my slippers in the rain and pick flowers in other people's gardens and learn to spit. You can wear terrible shirts and grow more fat and eat 3 pounds of sausage at one go, or only bread and pickle for a week. and you can hoard pens and pencils and beer mats and things in boxes. But now we must have clothes that keep us dry and pay our rent and not swear in the street and set a good example for the children. We must have friends to dinner and read the papers. But maybe I ought to practice a little now, so people who know me aren't too shocked and surprised when suddenly I'm old and start to wear purple. This poem was written when the author was 28 years old, so that was during her first Saturn return period. She'd had her baby, she was married, living that domestic life and thinking about being a grown-up. And it's interesting to note too that Jenny did not like purple. It was her least favorite color, so that was indicating to people who knew her that she was going to be different because she was wearing purple. And one other thing I thought was interesting, the average age for a Corvette owner is 60 years old. So it sounds like Uranus square is a time to have some fun, to recapture some of that youthfulness. It's sort of a reverse Uranus square. You know, the first one is, okay, we're squaring in, we're going to be grown, we're starting to be adults. And the second one is, we're letting go of that grown-up life and doing some of the things that we haven't had time to do because we've been working and raising kids and all the things. Well, it's time to do the stuff that you want to do. And to ensure that you have a good second Uranus square, it's important to find something that's engaging to you, something that stimulates you or interests you deeply, just sparks your interest. And you don't have to wait until you're Uranus square age, obviously, to do that. You can start preparing ahead, like Jenny was talking about. Start practicing. Start sitting on the pavement if you want to, or engage in your interests. And if you're past the second Uranus square, obviously, it's never too late to go back and reactivate that, or even think of those things and start up again some new activities. So the most satisfying is to pick things that are not related to your work that you've done or your domestic responsibilities. They're things that you can do independently and that maybe help the community in some way. If there's still one or both squares coming up for you in your life, you can be ready. You know about it now. So you can be ready for some infusion of breakthrough or breakaway energy in your life, something that's not characteristic, different, rebellious in a way that leads you on a path to ultimate authenticity, which is really the only way to be happy, is to be authentic, truly authentic. To stay with my French theme for this video, I wanted to say I like you just the way you are in French, but I have to admit my French sucks, like so bad. Even with 2 years at high school, 2 years at university, my French sucks. So I have Google here to help me out, as usual. Here we go.
Je t'aime juste comme tu es.
Pretend I said that. Anyway, I like you just the way you are, and I'll talk to you next time.